Welcome to the Dietitian Side Hustle podcast. My name is Katie Dodd, and I'm a nutrition entrepreneur. I spent 7 years as a side hustler before diving into entrepreneurship full time. Before making the leap, I was bringing in 6 figures through my side hustle. If I can do it, you can too. This podcast is for dietitians, interns, and students who want to be inspired to start or perfect the side hustle of their dreams. Let's do this. Hello and welcome to the 280th episode of the Dietitian Side Hustle podcast, Selling is Helping. Now, I am excited for today's episode talking about one of my favorite subjects, and that is selling. Now, I feel like selling for a lot of people is very, very uncomfortable, and that's really why it's one of my favorite subjects. If you want to make money, then you have to sell. But the truth of the matter is, most of us are pretty uncomfortable, at least inexperienced as well, at selling. So I'm going to talk about a few different things here. I'm actually going to read 2 different sections from my new book, Dietitian Side Hustle, available on Amazon. And I also want to invite those of you who are listening before December 15th, I want to invite you to a free webinar that I'm doing. It's part of my Momentum Monday series where this latter part of 2025, I'm doing these free fun webinars every other week to provide education, inspiration. And the webinar that I have coming up on December 15th at 5 o'clock Pacific, 8 o'clock Eastern is called Selling is Helping. So I want to invite you guys to join me with this webinar. It's not going to be too long, maybe 30, 45 minutes. So how you sign up is you go to katiedodd.com. That's honestly the easiest place. And then click on my Momentum Monday series and you'll find the link there. So katiedodd.com, sign up for the Momentum Monday series, and you can click on the Selling is Helping button. So let's dive right into selling. So before I read the sections from my book, I want to present to you the sales cycle. Now, I feel like I've talked about the sales cycle before on the podcast. I've absolutely taught my students. If you're one of my students, you should know the sales cycle by now. But the sales cycle is so important because this is how we make money as dietitian side hustlers. When I encounter a dietitian who is not making money, it is always going to come down to one of the 4 points on the sales cycle. So the 4 points are marketing, lead acquisition, sales, and fulfillment. It's a continuous cycle that continues for the duration for as long as you are a side hustle or an entrepreneur. This is how we make money. This is how we serve people. This is how we do business. And I think in my book, I call it like the sales cycle, your BFF, because it's going to be your best friend forever. The more you learn and master the sales cycle, the better you're going to get at serving your audience and making money. So let's talk about those 4 different parts. The first part is marketing. This is getting eyeballs on your stuff. This is making sure that people, more importantly, the right people who are in your niche, your avatar, know that you exist. Honestly, this is a problem for most of us. Y'all are amazing. People just don't know you exist yet. So marketing could look like many things depending on really what your focus is, where your audience hangs out. This could look like the blog, driving traffic through SEO. This could look like social media. So again, depending on where your traffic hangs out, this could look like Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, Pinterest. It also can be in-person marketing where you are networking with local doctors' offices or going to meetings and meeting people in real life. Networking is just allowing people to know you exist, learning more about you. This could also look like partnering with other people, getting on their podcasts, getting in front of, another audience on maybe a Facebook or an IG live. It's collaborating, getting in front of humans. It could also look like paid ads. I don't talk about paid ads a lot because I don't feel like I am an expert in that area. And my experience has been either paying other people to do ads for me or feeling like, wow, that I don't know what I'm doing. Did I just waste money? So ads is absolutely a way though to get in front of more eyeballs. I just always recommend if you're going to do ads, just make sure that you know what you're doing, either hire out or, do the right training to learn how to do it strategically based on where you're doing your ads, whether or not it's Instagram, Facebook, Google, or whatever. So marketing is just getting in front of lots of eyeballs. But getting in front of eyeballs isn't enough. We want to get people into our world, and this is where we collect leads. Lead acquisition is getting people on your email list. A business is only as strong as its email list. So if someone finds my blog through Google, okay, that's interesting. They leave the blog. They might not have even looked at like the title, who owned the blog. They might not have looked at the URL. They might not have even known they were on my blog, The Geriatric Dietitian. They came there for the information and they left. Now, if when they're there for the information, I present to them a wonderful freebie I have for them, and if it's, provides enough value, they're like, oh, yes, here's my name, here's my email, send me this freebie. Then I get them on my email list and I can continue to communicate with them, provide them with massive value, present opportunities for things to purchase, so that's selling, and really start to build that know, like, trust factor, build a relationship with them. Marketing, people know you exist, but you don't have control over those platforms. So social media, your account can get hacked. They can shut you down for, I don't know, posting the wrong thing. I hear all of these horror stories where people spend all this time building these incredible accounts and then poof, they leave them. And it's also a reminder that we don't own these platforms that we do our marketing on. So that's why it's really important. We want to get the right people on our email list so that way we can continue to provide value to them, but then also present opportunities for sales. And I will say in lead acquisition, this could also include text message marketing. But I think for most people, email marketing is where they're really focused. Then we have sales. Sales is where you present opportunities for people to buy your stuff. And this is the meat and potatoes of what we'll be talking about today. And then finally, fulfillment is simply fulfilling on what was purchased. Fulfillment could look like if you're working with clients one-on-one, trading that time of, okay, they bought sessions, now I'm going to provide that service. But also if you have maybe passive products, fulfillment could look like something you're hands off with. It's an automation that you don't even do. It's all, someone buys a handout, the system processes the credit card payment and sends them that handout, and you are completely hands off. So that is the sales cycle. It is a continual loop, getting in front of lots of eyeballs, making sure people know you exist, collecting leads because you want the right people in your world to provide lots of value, and then presenting opportunities for selling, for them to buy products, services that are going to really serve them, and then finally fulfilling on what was purchased. So I'm going to go to my book, Dietitian Side Hustle, and I'm going to read two sections for you, and they both are related to selling is helping. So the first section is found in my chapter on business. This is a beast. I feel like there's two chapters in this book that are really big. This particular chapter is almost 2 hours when I recorded it on Audible, but there's a lot of information I wanted to include in here. So what I'm about to read is a section on, it's actually on the sales cycle. And I break down those components in a little more detail than what I just told you guys. And I'm going to read the sales section here for you. Sales is the process of exchanging something of value, usually a product, service, or offer, for money. It's how you turn your side hustle into an income-generating machine. At its core, sales is all about serving people by solving a problem they have. Sales bridges the gap between problem and solution. And one thing I want all of you to remember is selling is helping. A lot of dietitians really struggle with selling. It's not something we learned in school, and we've all had bad experiences with sleazy salespeople. But when you're offering something that will truly help your ideal client, my goodness, you better sell. Selling truly is helping. We'll dive back into this in our next chapter on money, which I'll read to you guys next. Whether you're selling a coaching package, a digital download, a course, or a one-on-one service, the goal is to clearly communicate the value of what you're offering so people are excited to buy. Common ways to sell. There are many ways to make sales, and you don't need to do all of them at once. But here are some common strategies dietitian side hustlers use. Sales promotions. Share a limited time offer via email or social media. This could be a flash sale, an early bird deal, or a special bundle. Sales pages. Create a product or service page on your website where people can learn more about your offer and buy it. You could link this page on social media, to your emails, or anywhere else. Sales calls. For higher ticket sales, or for higher ticket offers like coaching or consulting, you might hop on a call with a potential client to see if it's a good fit. And finally, conversion events. Host a webinar, workshop, challenge, or masterclass that provides massive value, then introduce your paid offer at the end. You can build sales into your email automations, website, and even your one-on-one conversations. Sales don't happen in a vacuum. You need to have a plan and need to show up and execute it. Okay. So I was trying to read and then look at the camera. I know most of you are listening to this on a podcast platform and not watching on YouTube, but I'm like, oh wait, where was I? So that was the section on sales in the business book. And I mentioned here how I was going to talk about it again in the chapter on money. So I am hopping to chapter 7. Let's talk about money. And I'm just going to read the section on money mindset. And, oh gosh, how much of this do I want to read? I think I'm just going to read the first section and then we'll just kind of have a conversation, which means I'm just going to babble about why selling is helping. And again, encourage you to come to the webinar on Monday. And if you listen to this later and you're like, oh gosh, I missed it, just reach out to me. I feel like probably one of the easiest ways to reach out is on Instagram at the Katie Dodd. Just shoot me a message there and I could send you the replay. Or if you have my email. Okay, so this is chapter 7 and it's about money mindset. My money mindset story. I grew up in a middle class home. We always brought generic brands and things that were on sale. My mom was super scrappy when it came to saving money, and that stuck with me. When I thought of sales, I pictured a pushy door to door salesperson or sleazy car salesman. Yuck. I always thought selling was swindling. Then I came into the world of dietetics, which only added to my money mindset struggles. As an undergraduate student, I volunteered a lot. I had to build up my resume to ensure I'd get accepted into a dietetic internship program. Most dietetic internships are unpaid, so we're conditioned to work hard for years without pay. When I landed my first job, I was just grateful to be getting a paycheck at all. Then, when I started charging in my own side hustle, I always felt like I had to justify things. I would bring up the fact that I volunteered a lot, as if working for free balanced the audacity I had to charge for my work. When my business coach told me selling is helping, everything changed for me. Helping? Well, sure, I could get behind that. Dietitians are definitely helpers. A fellow business coach broke down this concept even further. He said, if there are people out there right now who are struggling and suffering, and you have something that can help get them out of that suffering, then you have a moral obligation to sell to them. That got to me. I had a sticky note on my desk for years that said, you better sell. After all, selling is helping. Okay, 2 sections from my books, my friends. I hope you're picking up what I'm putting down. I think that as dietitians, we're so ingrained that selling is a bad thing. The audacity to ask for money for our services. And it's really hard to get past. I mean, I mentioned this in the book. We don't get any training in school. School teaches us how to be a dietitian, not how to make money, not how to sell. And if you want to be a side hustler, if you want to be an entrepreneur, you have to learn how to sell. And how do you learn how to sell? This is going to sound ridiculous, but you have to sell. Practice makes better. The perfectionist that kind of creeps in for us, we want to be really good at it because we don't want to be that used car salesman, that swindly person, that, you know, we just don't want to be that person, right? And so we feel like I have to be perfect, but also selling is hard. And when you first get started, it could feel clunky, but some of the biggest advice I have is really working on your mindset to understand that you are helping someone. You heard that quote that I shared from another business coach that, he looks at selling as a moral obligation because you're not just trying to screw someone over. You're not just trying to collect their money and be greedy. You're a dietitian and we are helpers. We truly want to help and serve people. And we know that it takes that exchange of money in order to get them into your world. So that way you could start helping them and changing their life for the better. So when you first approach selling, really focus on your mindset and focus on, am I trying to screw someone over? Absolutely, you're not. No way. I've never met a dietitian who I'm like, oh man, they're just trying to screw people over. Dietitians are amazing. Okay. So first off, no, you are not trying to screw someone over. Also, you are running a business. Business owners charge for services. Would you ever be offended if your doctor charged you money? Like the audacity of my doctor to charge money. No, absolutely not. It is a transaction, right? But then also there's something I didn't mention in the book, but when you pay attention. And we know this over and over and over again. We could provide free services, free information on a website. Does that lead to life-changing experiences? No. But we know that when someone pays, when they put money in, they have skin in the game. They're invested. They are going to get their money's worth, which means they're going to do the thing, which means their life will be changed. So there's so many good things when it comes to selling. So you have to get right in your head and understand, I have people to help. And if I don't get better at selling, then I'm not going to help people. That's why I had a sticky note on my, thing for years that said, you better sell. Because I knew that the better I got at selling, the more people I was going to help. And that's why I'm in the game. And I think that's why most of you are in the game. Of course, we want to make money. Of course, we have to support ourselves. But dietitians at our core, we are helpers. We want to help people. We want to serve people. And when we start working on our mindset of selling is helping, I am doing people a disservice when I am not good at sales. I'm doing them a disservice when I get on a sales call and I downplay my services and I don't even like sell with confidence, and then someone doesn't buy and I'm like, oh my gosh, my program sucks. What's wrong with me? And it's only because you're not good at selling, but also that client missed an opportunity for their life to be changed by you. So there really is this moral obligation of we need to get better at selling. We need to get more confident at selling. We need to work on our mindset, and we have to practice, because again, practice makes better. And at first you might be sucky. That's okay. I think one thing I want to emphasize is that people are intuitive. I mean, obviously everyone has their different level of intuition, but people can feel real and they can feel fake. If you go into selling and maybe you're a little awkward, a little clunky, but you're genuine, pure of heart, no, I really want to help you. People can pick that up. They can receive that. They can feel that. So it's something that we have to continue to do and continue to get better at, because again, this is how we make money as a side hustler, and this is how we help people. So anyways, I'm going to be sharing more on the webinar. I'm going to have slides. I'm going to have some more specific nitty-gritty things, but I would love it if you guys could join me for my webinar on selling is helping on Monday. And it's also an opportunity to pick my brain too if you have questions. So that's what I had for you today. I want you guys to continue to get more comfortable at selling, because selling is helping. There's nothing wrong with it. It is a good thing. And this is how lives are changed. I look back on my story. Okay, I said I was going to wrap up. I'm not. So I look back on my story and I want you to think of your story. Think of opportunities in which you were sold to. I'm going to just tell you right now, like I was sold by my business coach, Greg Todd. I joined a mastermind. I share the story in my book. It completely changed my life. Completely changed my life. I went from just being a side hustler who was loving what I was doing to becoming strategic, changing my mindset, left my full-time job. For the last 4 years, I have been a full-time entrepreneur. I have been present with my children. My life is so infinitely better than it was. And I look back to that day, and my business coach charged a lot of money, a lot of money. But I look back and I'm like, thank God. Thank God that a man named Greg Todd sold to me and I said yes. Thank goodness that he was so good at selling that I saw the future that he was offering me and that I said yes to it. So I think all of us can think back to our story of times that maybe we were sold to and we're like, thank goodness I did this. And selling, maybe not even money. Maybe it was like selling in terms of saying yes to a relationship, saying yes to an experience, right? And I'm sure we all have, positives and negatives. But again, selling is helping, and we have the ability to help people and change their lives. So this is just something I'm passionate about. That's why I'm doing a webinar. When I was sitting down coming up with my not motivation, is it momentum, my Momentum Monday series, I was thinking about what are the things that I want to share with you guys, and selling came up high on the list because it's something I'm passionate about. Because again, I know a lot of you are in your heads about selling, and I want to get you out of your heads and focus on doing what you do best. So anyways, that's all I had for you guys. Go to katiedodd.com to learn more about the ways we could work together and to register for that event. Again, if you missed it, if you listen to this later, you're like, oh, I want the replay, just reach out. I'll send you the replay. I typically upload the replays, or I have been, for the Momentum Mondays to my YouTube, Dietitian Side Hustle. So anyways, thanks so much for joining me, and I hope that you guys are having a wonderful December with all of the chaos of the holidays, and I will see you all next week on the podcast. Bye, guys.